So I wanted to give a brief introduction to Hawk so he can get started with his presentation. We're so excited to have him join us today. He is not only a Parkway lover and supporter, he's a comedian and an author. He's written a series of guidebooks on how to enjoy motorcycle adventures throughout the United States and beyond. So Hawk's had some amazing travels, not just on our beloved motor road, but much further afield. And Hawk is also a comedian, and he is a retired law enforcement officer. So he's not only going to show you a funny take on how to enjoy the Blue Ridge Parkway, but a safe and responsible way to enjoy the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we're so excited to have you with us today. Again, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll be having some questions at the end. So thank you so much, Hawk.
Well, hey, thanks for that great introduction. And I gotta say, in all the COVID times, that it's not a Zoom meeting unless I do this and just ask if this thing is on. But anyway, today I'm gonna go over the code of the road. It's kind of a funny take on travel on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So first up, who is this guy? My parents named me Hawk Hagebak on purpose. They were Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they laid that name on a baby. That is just the worst thing ever that you could do to a person. So of course I had a sense of humor, and with a name like Hawk, there are only so many jobs I could do. I could be a helicopter pilot, a police officer, I could be international man of mystery. I went with a motorcycle cop just because the school was a lot shorter, and I thought the boots were cool. I was 27 years as a police officer in Metro Atlanta. That also helped me have a great sense of humor. I'm a long-time long-distance rider. I'm Iron Butt Association member. I took my honeymoon to Seattle and back. You have to have the right spouse and the right motorcycle for that. If you get one wrong, it's not going to be good. 2 years ago, I took the Great North American Motorcycle Tour, 5 months on the road, 21,000 miles. And in that time, I had 3.5 hours of rain, if you're curious. That also included most of the Blue Ridge Parkway. And then I'm the author of the Motorcycle Adventure Guidebook series, available at motorhawk.com and Milestone Press. Milestone Press is now owned by University of Georgia Press, so you might see UGA Press if you're doing any research on, hey, where do I find Hawk's books? So what I ride, that's usually a big question, because people are like, well, is this guy really a motorcycle guy, or what? Does he just have cool artwork up in his in-home studio, aka kitchen? All right, so I started off with a GS Suzuki 550L because everyone should learn how to work on a carburetor in the pouring down rain in North Georgia. Then I was the youngest person ever to buy a Honda Goldwing. I was 26 years old when I bought that. I was the first to ever buy one without an AARP card. Now that I'm an AARP card holder, that joke kind of offends me. Also have ridden a BMW R1150 RT. Beautiful motorcycle, great color on that bike. Actually, my late wife, she called me one day back years ago and said, Hawk, there's a motorcycle in front of the BMW dealership. It's blue, you should buy it. There's no question, sure. So I took right down there, picked up that motorcycle because it was blue and pretty. My work bikes on the top left of the screen there, that was Rosebud, a KZ1000P. I was taught to ride that up and down stairs. I don't know why that skill was so important as I was learning it, but then chasing a bad guy one day, he was in this apartment complex, rounded a corner into a breezeway and down some stairs. And let me tell you, suspects run with a lot more vim and vigor when they're being chased by a KZ1000P down some stairs. Pretty exciting. That on the right, I named her Dumbo. That was my Harley Davidson. It was a Road King, great motorcycle. Had a great career in law enforcement, tons of fun. Now I ride a Honda Africa Twin. I also have a BMW F800S, but that's the Dalton Highway in the back of the picture there with my motorcycle. That's on the way up because you see I'm still smiling. If you've ever ridden the Dalton Highway, I can tell you it's not like the Blue Ridge Parkway at all. You're going to get dirty, filthy, you're going to have a breakdown, and you're going to cuss a little bit. Then I also have a Subaru Outback. because after I retired from law enforcement as a full-time author and comedian, that's what I do. It doesn't matter where I live. With 4 grown daughters and no adult supervision to tell me no, I was able to move to Western North Carolina. Now, I don't know if you know the area of Western North Carolina very well, but also Western Virginia, same way. You're actually required by state law to buy a Subaru Outback. I don't know why that is. I think if you're in your 20s, you can get the WRX, but there's a whole thing about you have to have a Subaru if you're going to live in the mountains of the Southern Appalachians. So where to ride? So I like to ride pretty much everywhere. That's a picture of me and my daughter on her mighty CMX 250, the Honda Rebel 250 with a power of a dozen horses. Great motorcycle. I also like to ride the Cherry-Hill Skyway, Blue Ridge Parkway. Great riding around here. I actually moved to a place just a mile off the parkway, so I can get there pretty much all the time. One of the finest roads there is, in my opinion, in the world, and I've traveled a bit. Another great view from the parkway there. So I was an accidental author. These are some of my buddies up on top of a mountain, and this kind of leads into how I became a writer of these motorcycle books. One of my buddies said, "Man, I want to take my girlfriend for a ride up in North Georgia, East Tennessee." So I pulled out a napkin and I wrote, a couple of directions like, "Hey, this is a clean restroom. Your girlfriend won't even have to hover over the toilet at this one. This is good. You'll be fine." And then recommended a restaurant and that kind of thing. Well, after a couple of these napkins, he said, "Man, why don't you just write a couple books about motorcycling? Because I just write some books for me." So I wrote these books for a guy named Larry DeWitt, but actually they've sold really well all over the U.S. and a couple of international sales. But they cover, the first book is North Georgia, East Tennessee. The second book is really Virginia, West Virginia. I'm sorry, that's the third book. Second book is North Carolina, East Tennessee. And you can see the Linco Viaduct right there on the cover of book 2. So I have a great time riding, and I love the Blue Ridge Parkway a lot. Mount Mitchell State Park, photographed right there, on a much more scenic day than when I was doing book research. I had an occasion bunch of those buddies, some of them photographed in that previous photo. You could see the clouds coming in from the west, and you can see all the terrible weather coming. And I was like, "Man, we got to get going. We got to get out of this weather." So we tore off up the Mount Mitchell into Mount Mitchell State Park. It's like 3 miles straight up the side of a mountain. Highest point east of the Mississippi. Not the best place to hide from a storm, it turns out. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is the code of the road. It's the unwritten standard of behavior for motorcyclists and motorists on the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you don't ride a motorcycle, that's okay. You're still cool in your own way, but this also applies to you. Because we all serve as ambassadors for the Parkway, keeping up the code keeps the coolness factor. And I'm told to spell it with a K. I don't know why that is, because I'm old. So an example of the code of the road is help others. So this young lady had broken down with her Triumph Thruxton. This is actually on the Cherry-Hill Skyway. Happy to help her out. I have been helped out a couple times on the side of the road by passing strangers, and it is awesome. That is one of the greatest codes of the road. If you're able to help, help. If you're not comfortable with stopping, well, don't. All right, some common codes. Others, waves. Now, motorcyclists, we all wave at each other. So we have the long wave. This wave happens when you start to wave at another car or another motorcycle on the parkway, and then it turns into a group of riders. And you don't want to be rude and not wave at that 42nd Miata that's part of the Miata Club that's coming up the road. Then the Durga wave. So the goddess Durga was this multi-armed creature in India. Well, she was a goddess, and she's the one with multi-arms. So if you have a passenger on the back of your motorcycle and you wave to the left and your passenger also waves to the left, well, it looks like you have multiple arms, and it can be a little intimidating for people as they're coming to you. Point and shoot wave, pretty clear. Just point and shoot, looks like a little, like you're pulling a trigger at somebody. Just make sure if you're wearing a glove that doesn't look too much like a real gun. Hidden hand wave. I do this one a lot. I do this one at night. I'm so friendly, I wave at people all the time. So I do the hidden hand wave at night. Or you can do the hidden hand wave by being the one that says, listen, this wave is only for you. So you keep your hand kind of low to the ground and you give that wave. Then the I'm number one wave there, that looks an awful lot like the you're not number one wave, which is a totally different finger that I don't recommend that you use. Then the cruise control wave, if you're on a motorcycle, that's with your right hand up. And then the Jeep wave, Jeep pilots have their own cool waves. And I won't give out the secrets on that, but suffice to say, they all wave at each other. Subarus, why, yes, we wave at each other, usually through the sunroof. Some other common codes, giving to others. We build events around giving to others. Like you get a group of motorcyclists together, we're going to be raising money for homeless cats, the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation. You know, we want to raise money for, I mean, you get 10 of us in a group, we're going to throw money in for something. Then another code on the Blue Ridge Parkway specifically is pull over often. I'm not saying get pulled over often. Awesome? No, I'm not saying get pulled over often. I'm saying pull over often. If there's a group behind you, that next overlook, that's your invitation to pull in, check out that beautiful overlook and let traffic get past you. Then ice breaking, nothing says howdy partner like a Blue Ridge Parkway sticker or the Blue Ridge Foundation tag here in North Carolina. Virginia has another similar tag in support of the Blue Ridge Parkway, but having one of those stickers, that's a great icebreaker if you want to have a conversation. All right, common codes on the parkway. Give directions. Do this only if you know where you are. Now that caveat, it sounds crazy to have to throw that in, but having been a police officer, people would often ask me for directions that I had no idea. So I would just get them into Alabama, you know, get them 2 hours west of me and they would get lost. No, I'm just kidding. No, but if you know where you are, give them directions. Then I like to carry an extra map of the parkway. You can pick these up at visitor centers, at the stores and that kind of thing along the parkway. And then carry an extra one that you can give to another motorcyclist, and just you can show them exactly the mile marker where they are. On the map, the mile markers are every 10 miles, so you can kind of swag where you are there. Then if you're hiking, you can ask, hey, y'all okay? Or because we're in North Carolina and Western Virginia, I prefer to use the more common colloquial, the local version of yin's good. Now, yin's good can mean a lot of things, but yin's good when you're on a trail or on the side of the road when you're when you're lost. Yin's good means, do you need any directions? But yin's good also means things like, are you full after a meal? So it all depends on how you're going to use that. So off the parkway on hikes and overlook, it's great to greet others. I always say howdy, something friendly. Let others learn on their own. As a father of 4 daughters, I am told by my daughters that I mansplain way too much. I stop and I'm like, hey, you know about this area, blah, 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 blah. And there was once a white goat that was seen in this area and it had 9 teeth. I over-explain things way too much. So I've been told, just say hi and let others learn and discover things on their own. Pay a non-creepy compliment. So what does a non-creepy compliment sound like? Man, those are really cool shoes. I like those. How many D-cell batteries does it take to run that brightly colored shoe? That's a lot better compliment than, man, those yoga pants look good. Don't do that. All right, keep dogs in doggy approved areas and on a leash. Some of the trails are not doggy approved. If you take doggies on not doggy approved trails, that can cause erosion issue. And also when they make their little doggy piles in the woods, it can adversely affect the ecology. So selfie help, I love helping people out at overlooks. Every time I'm riding, it doesn't matter where I am, but if I'm riding on the parkway and I see a family trying to take photos, trying to take a selfie, I always offer to take that selfie for them. But I always do the selfie bomb. That's where, as soon as you get the phone, change it back to selfie mode, take a couple of yourself, change it back to regular forward mode, take about 10 of them so you're kind of hidden in their photos, and then hand it back to them. I'm pretty certain that I was named as a witness in a divorce in France because they couldn't figure out who the bald dude was. Then wildlife encounters, they're pretty common on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Don't try to pet the bears, the deer, or the elk. For heaven's sakes, don't get out of the car or don't dismount the motorcycle. That's actually a drawing of me on the left when I was in Alaska. I had done this great diet program and was riding moose everywhere. Anyway, that on the right is actually an elk just off the Blue Ridge Parkway. And then this scene on the bottom right of your screen there, that's where I was actually on the side of the parkway and had a herd of elk go past me. I didn't get any pictures of them approaching because I was too focused on not moving. There's no place to hide as elk go past. So what I did was I just kind of got really tight, was happy to be wearing my helmet and all my other gear, and turned off my motorcycle and just kind of stood there while they marched by. Murphy's laws of motorcycling, these are things that we're going to see an awful lot of when we ride or when we drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Rain gets us a lot. Planning a ride or drive with friends on the parkway. This photo is actually just off the parkway in Fancy Gap, Virginia. I had ridden all day, pulled in to get gas, rained like nobody's business, rained in biblical proportions, and then it went away. Good for me. Rain gear law, if you're not prepared, it's going to rain. Like if you watch the weather and they say, nope, it's not going to rain, and you don't bring your rain gear, it's definitely going to rain. Then the rain gear speed law, this is also known as the convertible top law or the Jeep top law. The sooner it goes on, the sooner it stops raining. Then if folks are new to the parkway or you're new to the Blue Ridge Parkway and you want to show people nice scenery, you're going to have clouds at higher elevation. You're not going to be able to see much, not even much of the road, and it's going to rain. So Murphy's laws, tire problems, yep, you're going to have that after all the tire shops close on Saturday, not to reopen until Monday. Gravity law, you will fall down on a trail, even if you're the most steady hiker in the universe. If there are members of the opposite sex present or someone that you want to impress, you're going to fall over. If you're on a motorcycle, you're going to forget to put down your kickstand when you're in front of all of your buddies, and it's going to be pretty embarrassing. Reliability law, if you brag about your Jeep or your motorcycle or your RV about how reliable it is, it will break down, and it will usually break down in front of the people that you have bragged to. So your gadgets, no, that is not my motorcycle there on the right. If you rely on a gadget, it's gonna fail you. So grab that map from the visitor center and carry it with you. Maps don't fail. Paper is awesome. Weather, just be prepared for weather of all stripes when you're on the parkway, because it can be in lower altitudes, it can be super warm, higher altitudes, it can get actually icy. Then cash, cash is king. People still accept cash everywhere except airplanes, I think. But if you go in thinking you're going to make an ATM purchase and they say, well, what's an ATM? That question was actually posed to me in Walhalla, South Carolina. Well, what's an ATM? And I explained to the girl, an ATM, automated teller machine. You put your card in, boop, 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 boop. You put in a code, it gives you money, and it's deducted from your bank account. She was like, that's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea, sure. So like I had just come up with it. So carry some cash with you. So how to beat Murphy? You pack that sense of humor and adventure. And so when you look at like a sign like this that's on the Blue Ridge Parkway, that just tells you to have a sense of humor. Like, so on your screen there, have you ever noticed that smiley face, well, that the motorcycle guy flying off the motorcycle in the curve looks like a sad face? Check this out. Let's see. Everybody get that? I mean, I think that's kind of by design. Every time I see that, I want to draw a little cape on the motorcycle guy. I don't do it because that would be, of course, illegal. All right, warn newbies of motorcycle laws, of Murphy's laws of motorcycling or riding the parkway. Just let them know, hey, when it starts raining, it's your fault because I brought you on this ride. Carry a toolkit with you. There's no reason to carry anything that you don't know how to use, but carry a toolkit and understand the rudimentary operation of your vehicle. Understand how to make some roadside repairs, because along the Blue Ridge Parkway, places to get assistance are few and far between. Then, do you want hamsters with that? Now, I was asked this question years ago. I was a police motorcycle officer. I wore a half dome helmet and was in a place getting a shake and getting actually one of those cool fruit smoothies. And the girl said, after I ordered my Billy Bob banana, she asked me if I wanted any hamsters in it. And I thought that is disgusting. And maybe that's some other part of the world or somewhere where people just put hamsters into fruit drinks. But no, she said, do you want enhancers with that? Because I wore a half dome, I was half deaf. So wear earplugs if you ride a motorcycle, particularly a half dome. Also carry a first aid kit with you. You don't have to do surgery on the side of the road, but what I like to do is have that first aid kit with me with $100 hidden in it. That way, I can get out of a ditch with $100 bill. I can find a no-tell motel with $100 bill. $100 bill goes a long way to stopping the crying after you've given yourself some road rash, or if something falls out of your Jeep or your truck or your Subaru. All right, after the crash, don't make it any worse. Don't make it any worse after the crash. Make sure everybody's okay. Then send somebody upstream. Send somebody toward the direction where traffic is coming from, preferably with reflective vests, to stand on the side of the road to give the, hey, slow down, some stuff has happened. And then have somebody go to the top of the mountain to call 911, to call the Rangers, to have them come out to help you out. Then layer clothes, hiking or riding. This is kind of a hiking outfit I have photographed here. But layer your clothes. That beats the Murphy's Law about the weather. So you can don or undon. What do you do? Why do we don things but we don't undon? Anyway, so shower thoughts, I guess. Then ship clothes. This is a great trick that I learned years ago, was to pack clothes on a big trip. If it was a big long trip, I would pack clothes for a week and ship it to the hotel or the bed and breakfast or wherever I was staying. That way, when I got there, I could unpack my dirty clothes from my motorcycle, pack my clean clothes, and ship my dirty clothes back. Roadside assistance programs. Once you sign up for a roadside assistance program, your vehicle will never break down. All right, real quick, dealing with the Lawless. Because I was a police officer for 27 years, I've learned that criminals are cowardly and ignorant. They most want your stuff and get away undetected. Make it hard to get. That way they'll seek elsewhere. Groups play to their cowardly weaknesses. It doesn't matter if you're a group of 82-year-old women like my mom. She still drives her sports car. She's in a little sports car club. 20 of those ladies, most criminals don't want anything to do with that. It's not that they're worried about getting beaten up by the little old ladies. They just don't want any witnesses. Locks, every time, everywhere. Doesn't have to be like Fort Knox, just better than the person next to you. It's like when you're swimming with sharks. You don't have to swim faster than the sharks, just faster than the slower guy. All right? Eggs in one basket, all a bad idea. If you carry all your cash and all your credit cards in one wallet, in one purse, terrible idea. Separate that stuff out so that if something gets stolen, you can still continue your adventure. I like to photocopy my ID before I leave. Do this on international trips with my passport. I do it here locally with my driver's license. In case I lose my wallet, I still have at least a photocopy of my driver's license. It gives people an idea of who I am. Confident and aware, head up, looking around, saying hi to people. If you say hi to a criminal, they know that you've already seen them. So you get hit. Now what? Report the crime. Call 911. Have a ranger come out and take that report. Now that you may think, oh, there's no solvability factor, whatever. Don't worry about that. Make the report. They keep track of where crimes occur. Crime is relatively uncommon on the parkway, but still, button your things up. Remember, criminals are not on vacation, you are. Cancel cards and call family, let them know, then finish your trip. Keep going. So let's talk about, remember that we're ambassadors on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Being nice to other motorists, other motorcyclists. Now, be kind to other visitors and mindful of other users. Now, mindful of other users. Now, I already talked about deer, bear, elk, all those things that are in the road, but other users are bicyclists. They are hikers, like this part of the southern end has the Mountain to Sea Trail that parallels most of the southern half of the Blue Ridge Parkway. In the northern end, Appalachian Trail. Then you've got hundreds of little trails off to the side all the time. So the speed limit is 45. Not to say that you can't like lean your bike into a curve at some speed that Captain Kirk would be proud of. No, but you should not do that, because it isn't that your bike can't handle it or you can't handle it. It's that when you come around a corner doing that breakneck speed and you see a hiker in the road, well, now you're going to be all unfriendly and mow down a hiker. That's no bueno, as we say in Norway. Then show off your drive on the parkway. Take photos, post things, and also you can go on the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation's website and go to the end to end, and they will let you know. They'll send you this cool certificate. Then pull off if there are cars stacking up behind you, and pack in and pack out. Don't trash the scenery, and you get extra credit. You get extra credit if you pick up somebody else's garbage. And then finally, let me get to it. And then finally, if you have if you are deeply in love with someone and you want to show the world that, don't carve that into a tree or anything else, because as soon as you do that, that will end. That relationship will be over quickly. If you want to see me ride the Blue Ridge Parkway, there's a YouTube channel for that. Go to Moto Hawk on YouTube. There are a couple Moto Hawks on YouTube. I'm the only fat bald guy that's on there, but you'll see Volume 2, the Blue Ridge Parkway. There's a link at the bottom of the screen. Take a screenshot if you want. And I think we have a minute to answer questions. And I'll put this screen up just so people have my email address. They can shoot me an email later if they don't want to ask here. How are we doing, kids? All right. So Jordan, can't hear you because it is 2021.
Got it.
We all
there
have
we
to
go.
learn how to use Zoom. Yeah, that's great.
Yep. Okay. So thank you so much. That was fabulous. You couldn't hear me laughing the whole time because I was muted like I was just then. So that was fantastic. I just have a few brief announcements and we're going to do some questions. Apologies to people that had issues getting in. We did record the webinar. You will be receiving a copy of the full webinar, so no worries on that. And we will be emailing that to you within the next couple of days. It will also be on our YouTube channel. But Hawk, I have some questions for you. We've had some fabulous comments and questions during your presentation. So I just wanted to run through a few of them. Robert asked, what's your favorite overlook or maybe your favorite part of the parkway?
Okay, so there are a couple. Well, one of my favorite overlooks is Water Rock Knob, just because sunset from there is absolutely beautiful. And then further north, Groundhog Mountain in Southern Virginia, absolutely beautiful, and it's a fun little hike. It's a short hike, but nice.
Terrific. And that was the other thing I was going to comment. If you do hear an audio lag, that is why we had to kill videos at one point. So I apologize that we had to do that, but it does help with the audio. We didn't want you to miss any of the information. So another question from one of our favorite Parkway volunteers, Ed, is he's ridden the Blue Ridge Parkway end to end many times, often on the same day, but always on his own. Do you have any recommendations for if his wife rides with him? Any recommendations on two-up tours, that type of idea? And this is also something we can address in our follow-up email if you want to think on it.
Yeah, you know, there's an awful lot of great riding on and around the Blue Ridge Parkway. There are two resources for the area of the Blue Ridge. So not just the Blue Ridge Parkway, but the roads off of it. So America Rides Maps, great resource for people to use. It includes paved roads, unpaved roads, dual sports, or motorcycle adventures in the Southern Appalachians. My little books, I don't write about the Parkway as one length. I write about the Parkway as different sections. And so those different sections have recommendations for hotels and things like that. That's a great question.
Terrific, awesome. Along the same lines for end-to-end riding, Larry was asking, do you recommend how many days someone should ride? He's not into riding too long at once.
Yeah, well, it's 469 miles. So if you do the quick math, you're looking at about 10 hours if you're able to maintain 45. Now, the speed limit steps down to 35 around busy places. So really, it takes about 12 hours. I would, if you want to do that in a day, I would recommend summer months and find a place to stay on the other end. But really separating it into 2 days is not that uncommon. And then you can add that additional northern end in the Shenandoah National Park. That's a beautiful spot, and there's a great hotel up there. So sure, I would recommend 2 days, but honestly, if you just want to do it end to end, you can do it in a day, but it's more enjoyable, I think, to pull off, take some hikes, enjoy more scenery.
Terrific. Walter has some technical questions about riding the Parkway on a motorcycle. And he's asking questions about things like if you encounter gravel or leaves. Would this be something that you perhaps have on your website or in your books as well?
Yeah, I talk about gravel. I think I talk about leaves on my YouTube channel also. I would just say that as a former MSF rider coach, handling gravel that's mixed on top of asphalt, straighten your bike, and don't make a lot of sudden throttle movements or braking movements while you're going through that. In the fall, leaves that are on the ground, if you're leaned over and you go through a patch of leaves, leaves have the coefficient of friction of duck poo. So that's real slick. So avoid leaves if you can. Have your motorcycle upright as you're riding through any leaves. All right? That's
good plan.
Answer. Slick as duck poo. Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay, I'll never forget that. We do have several comments from people that are retired law enforcement or currently involved in law enforcement, and they just want me to compliment you on providing these tips. We're so appreciative of ways to safely enjoy the Blue Ridge Parkway. And we have several other questions, but we are currently over time. So I think what we will do is we will enjoy hearing the rest of your answers via email in the follow-up email that we will send to all the webinar participants. Again, this has been recorded. We will be emailing this to you. We will also put it on our YouTube channel. And congratulations, this was fabulous. Thank you so much, Hawk. And thank you all for joining us.
Thanks everybody for coming to see me. Thanks, appreciate it.